Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the GBA VS Code tutorial series. This is like take 7 for me. Hopefully I could get it right this time. So straight away, we're going to be covering GDB debugging of our GBA ROM that we made last episode. I'm going to use the mGBA emulator because that comes with a GDB server for us to connect to. So here I am on the mGBA website, mgba.io. And then in the download section, and I've gone ahead and I installed the Windows 64-bit version. I've put this in a directory that I'll refer to later. So once you've got that installed, remember where you've put it. Okay, let's hide this. Right, so this is our project from the last episode. Here's our files. Here's a build output with a little elf here. So how do we get debugging working with this? So if you go to run, start debugging, and then straight away, this is complete nonsense. Like Chrome, Edge, Node, what's this about? So we need to actually add our own launch command for this one. So if you do in the .vs code folder, add a launch.json as a file. Now VS Code knows that this is a special file because it's in the .vs code folder, and it's just told us to add a configuration down here. So let's click that. Oh, look at this nice little list here. Cool, so what do we want? Well, none of these are actually useful. So it's actually missing what we're looking for, which is the C++ debugging situation. So let's try and find the extension of that. Oh, here we go. So at the bottom, I can see it recommended there. So if we go C, PP, does this find it? No. About this, C++ debugging. There we go at the top. So this is the recommended one. It's by Microsoft, IntelliSense, debugging, etc., etc. So let's install this. Perfect, that's done. And now when we do go to run, start debugging, there we go. It's recognized we're in a C++ folder. C++ file, so it's given us these are the options. These are still the incorrect options. So, IntelliSense for this folder. Yes, please. So back into launch.json. Now when we do add configuration, we have these C++ options. And we can do GDB launch. There we go. And it's filled out a sort of template. I've actually got all the settings I need to add written down here. So I'm going to refer to my little cheat sheet. So program is the path to this here, the myGameElf. I wonder if I can drag that in. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, so workspace folder, which is the GBA VS Code, and then it's inside build, and then it's my_game.elf. Perfect. No arguments, stop at entry, false. Current working directory, we'll put it into the build folder where the actual elf is. This isn't actually going to be used, I'm just entering it for completeness sake. The debugger path. So for this, I'm actually going to set it to be Windows specific in my case, just to make something a bit more multi-platform friendly. But what I will put in is the debugger address. So here we go, debugger server address. And because mGBA is a emulator running on my local machine, I need to tell it to go to localhost. And mGBA's GDB server, by default, it launches its server listening on port 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the connection address that we need to plug into. Okay, so we don't need these setup commands, but we need setup commands specific to Windows. So I'm going to make a Windows specific object here. And I think the first thing we need is the actual debugger path. So this is going to be where our installation for GDB itself is. So not mGBA, but the GDB debugging utility, which is what VS Code uses to know how to step through the code and decompile and all that nonsense. Okay, so where's this stored for me? This is actually, we can explore this in Explorer. So if I go to that here we are. So this is the project folder from the last episode. If we go up one level, then into GBA Toolchain Master, and then into ARM GNU toolchain, and then into bin, and then down here we have gdb.exe running right there. So I'm going to steal this. Actually, you know what? I'll make it relative to our project folder. So where were we? We were on a project folder, and then we went up one level, and then let me get Explorer out of the way. And then we went into GBA toolchain master, and then GNU toolchain, and it's the bin folder. I believe it is none EABI, embedded API, and then we're looking for gdb.exe, and that .exe is exactly why I've put in the little Windows object here, so it's Windows specific. Okay, and now we need a complicated command to actually start mGBA as an emulator, because in all of this we haven't got mGBA itself starting, because as far as VS Code is aware, it's just this program to be ran, but that's actually incorrect. We need to launch mGBA to actually start up the program. So we could do that with a setup command, which is a list. Here we go. And then we have a description. I'm going to call this mGBA. And then the next one is text, which is the command that's going to be run. And because I'm on Windows, I'm going to copy paste in my shell script here. This is Windows shell script for starting up mGBA. I'm going to add in the option to start listening with a debugger. And then I'm also going to copy paste the program argument here. So this will start mGBA with the debugging GDB server active, and it'll launch this game here, this ROM. I know there's spaces in my directory, so I'm going to wrap this in quotes, just to give mGBA an easier time. And finally, if anything fails, ignore failures. We'll learn about it, just because something always goes wrong. So let's save this file here. And I think that might be it, actually. So if we go to the main and then we try run start debugging, let's see what happens. And oh, so here's mGBA started up okay. That's nice. Let's close this down. Okay, so that started. Oh, we can even see down here that the debugger actually managed to connect. Perfect. So if I add a breakpoint, and now this is a little trick with this current version of mGBA, it doesn't respect your breakpoints until you restart the emulator, because it begins emulation before the GDB server is connected. Kind of frustrating. But let's start debugging now. 3 dots. So I'm going to go to the emulation and then reset. Ooh, and look at that, breakpoints hit. So VS Code. Then we could press use the debugging buttons here. So do we have a step button? Step over. Try step into, see what happens. So step into, and it just does the one command. And then we can, step over this, get into the infinite loop. Now we're there forever. And that's it pretty much. So yeah, let's stop the emulation because that's going a bit insane there. Cool. If you have any questions, follow me on Twitter at Xylephian, and I'll happily answer them. Here's another look at the launch.json if you want to copy this. Pause the video, I suppose. I'll see about getting it in the description as well, because this is actually copy pasted from the GBA toolchain with some modifications done, so I could just link to that in the repo. Thanks, I suppose. And I think episode 3, I'm probably going to cover some of the CMake commands actually added by the GBA toolchain. So stuff like this. I'm going to explain the other ones that are added in. That's about it. So thanks, everyone. Goodbye.